We gotta get our Mitra jokes in. So much money spent to come in 8th place, you know?
On signs don't vote, man.
Signs?
On signs don't vote.
Especially signs that you just put, like, anywhere you want, yeah. Like, that's been such an epidemic this year, I feel like, more than past years. Like, people, like, it seems like Jose Rivera and Satya Mitra especially are just putting signs, like, anywhere they can get them.
I feel like it wanes and waxes, but the result is always the same. I've talked about this election at some point, but the time that Phil Palmieri ran against Mary Keefe for that State House seat.
Yeah.
Shrewsbury Street was just fucking plastered with Palmieri signs.
Yeah.
You would have thought he was going to win it 90-10 if he drove down Shrewsbury Street.
Right.
And yeah, he got rocked.
Bragg cartel right here.
Oh, yeah.
This book is crazy.
I was trying to remember on the way over that I would love to borrow that from you when you're done. I really, really want to read it.
I'm 2 chapters into it, and the first chapter is about 2 Delta Force knuckleheads, one of which one shoots the other one after like a 3-day coke bender.
Yeah. In front of his daughter, I think, right? Like in front of his kid.
Yeah, in front of his kid. And then it immediately transitions to like a brief history of JSOC and focusing on this like this JSOC operative, a Delta Force operative that apparently quote unquote went rogue and like personally trained Osama bin Laden in the methods of plane hijacking a few years before 9/11.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking, how did those guys pull that off? JSOC training allows you to do incredible things. You know, it's an elite unit. Can't forget that.
Yeah, it's just good that that knowledge never falls into the wrong hands, because those guys are so on the up and up. That's what they wrote a book about. It's just like, man, these guys are cool, and they love to follow the law, and they don't love to traffic drugs.
It's right. It's really cool to see the traction that this book is getting, just because, you know, both of us are fans of TrueAnon, and it seems like the idea for that book germinated on just Seth Harp going on that show.
Yeah, it was literally him going on about the original case, and then like all this research he did into all of the people that die at Fort Bragg and the very crazy conditions in which it happens.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he talks about it in the book. He talked about it the last time he was on TrueAnon, but like a perfect example of this is Los Zetas in Mexico. Like, do you know about that cartel?
The Los Santos cartel?
Los Zetas.
Los Zetas? Nah, I don't really know.
They were literally a government paramilitary force. They were like the drug interdiction version of JSOC. And then they were like, wait a minute, we could make a lot more money if we just use all this stuff that the government, including JSOC, taught us to just become a cartel. And they did. And that's what the Zetas are. They're a former paramilitary. They're a paramilitary force that was formerly a government paramilitary force that was put in place to fight the cartels, and instead just became its own cartel.
I don't know why this just popped into my head while you were explaining that, but I had a flashback to like 2018 Worcester Twitter, and some crank commented on one of my posts and said, "How dare you accuse me of that which you are guilty?" And it's like, it just seems like every law enforcement operation has a bit of that "how dare you accuse me of that which you are guilty" going on, because it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, the CIA gets its own uniformed force from Ronald Reagan, thank you very much, and they seem to immediately start to use it to just move a lot of drugs around the world.
Yeah.
While the drug war is at like a fever pitch, right? Because it's like, this is like 80s, 90s, early 2000s, when the war on drugs was like the only thing like left for the security state, besides some incursions into the Gulf. Oh, speaking of that, I know I sent you the link a couple whenevers ago, but that record that I found.
Oh, yeah. That was like a just post 9/11 record, right?
Yeah. So, hold on. What's the? So I'm trying to be less of a poser about electronic music. Now that I'm a producer, right?
Right. Now that you're a big time producer.
Yes, and I don't want to be caught, with my pants around my ankles, not knowing some seminal acts. So I was going through Aphex Twin's discography, and I came upon this audio documentary. It turns out. And it is called The Fire this time, and so I listened to the whole thing. Like it's a 2-disc thing, and it's about the Gulf War. It's not about the Iraq War. It's like a documentary about the Gulf War, and I was just struck by, like, there's a lot of moments where it's like, if this got released in 2025 about Gaza, it would be like indistinguishable besides a few proper nouns, right?
Damn.
It's like it's really, really powerful and compelling stuff. I'll put a little clip in and a link in, obviously, but
yeah, I got to listen to the rest of that because I listened to the Aphex Twin track and it was really, really good. I think that was like the opener or the second track. I was in a place where I didn't have sufficient internet to download it because. It's a compilation record, but it's like an audio documentary. So there's like a narrator's voice. He's like a British guy. It's like a really, really good, like, sort of leftist take on the Gulf War.
Look, they had to close the doors so that no more people would be accepted. So at least there was 1,200 people there.
The Alfredo bunker hit gave us a major public relations and political problem. I mean, it stopped everything we were doing for about a day and a half.
The idea.
Damn.
It is a great vehicle to I found myself really struck by how the current genocide going on in Gaza is not unique to Israel. It's actually a very American project, and it has sort of a long lineage leading up to it, and a lot of that happened in Iraq. So it's I don't know. I just I found that to be intellectually stimulating. It's a good listen.
Yeah, it's far from an original thought, but I've been because of the genocide going on and the way that Israel is conducting that genocide and the way that we are aiding and abetting it. I've been thinking a lot about and listening to things and reading things about the half-decade-ish path that led us here. You could easily say it starts in Vietnam. I would say that it maybe even starts in Korea, with Vietnam being a reaction to the way that Korea went. Mm-hmm. But you can see, like, the long, multi-decade path of erosion of anything around a conventional, quote-unquote conventional way to conduct warfare.
Right. And
guardrails that used to exist. And I mean, like, I think people, in a lot of times in the analysis I see on what's going on in Gaza and our active participation in it, people like we actually really don't have a leg to stand on. That's part of how we've wound up in this situation. Like
right.
We as a country don't have a leg to stand on, and like also there's a reason why if you want to conduct a genocide like this with munitions, you have to get them from us.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we have them.
And it's also like, right. And there's a reason why Israel wants to buy them, because we have a proven track record of their efficacy.
Yes.
The thing that I was really struck by, it's like the rhetoric around like, how can you as an American support what's going on over there, right? Like that's not it, right? Because it's actually what Israel's doing is deeply American.
Yes.
Like you want to make Israel out to be the bad guy. It's like, no, it's just an extension, like an appendage of the main bad guy, being the country that we pay taxes to.
Yeah, we are completely codependent on each other, actually. And I mean literally codependent in the sense that one of the only fucking industries that still exists in America, and really kind of primarily in America for most of the world to be able to consume, is weapons.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things that it's still made in the United States. It's still researched and built and sold from here.
Yeah, that's why the Trump 1.0, when he went, Saudi Arabia, say what you want, they buy a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
It's the most honest a U.S. president has been since like FDR, really. But anyway, he still sucks. Don't get it twisted. I don't like the guy. But I do appreciate when people say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, so it's frickin' the Sunday the 6th.
Sunday the 7th.
Sunday the 7th. My apartment building is still standing somehow. Chris, it got downright biblical out here yesterday.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I was downtown where I live, and I live in a big building that is stick frame on top of a concrete base, and it got pretty scary down there for a few moments. I saw the tornado warning come in, and I was like, all right. I was telling Bill this, but I have a direct view to the west, where I can easily, like, clearly see all the way down to the glass tower on Main Street. The one that nothing's in except the fundraiser place at the top.
Top of the tower, bottom of the tally.
Yes.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Allegedly, I heard it's supposed to be actually opening sometime soon, so we'll see. New rooftop bar coming soon. Yeah, I wanted to stay close to my scanner, because there was tons of shit coming in on the scanner.
Yeah, it was crazy. I had it on too. Woof.
But yeah, I was at the ready, like dog leash in hand, and my calculus was, if I lose sight of that building, I am putting the dog on a leash, and we are running to the concrete stairwell immediately. I should have already been in the basement. It wasn't the smartest thing to do. But yeah, then I started to see the tracking, and where they were saying this tornadic cell was, and it was up this way. It was like in Holden, coming to the north part of North Worcester, which is where we are, where you are.
If you're so imagine, listener, you're on my porch, and no, you're not allowed to know exactly where my porch is, because but I can pretty much look straight out at where that tornado touched down. Like, I can't see it, obviously. It's like 2 or 3 miles away. But boy, oh boy, I was out here on the porch when we were in the thick of it, and the sky was like electric, making noises I've never heard the sky make before. These trees were swaying like I've never seen them sway before, and there was no visibility. And I was like, if a tornado was coming, like directly to my path, I wouldn't be able to see it until it was like 10 feet away. It was really, really scary.
Yeah, that was my logic with the building. I was like, if I lose the building, it's raining so hard that I can't even see from here to there. And then if there's a rain-wrapped tornado in there, which is a term that I know because I watch lots of tornado videos on YouTube.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. I was like, if there's a rain-wrapped tornado in there, I'm not going to know, so it's time to go.
Dude, I was getting my news from a Storm Chaser live stream, like a Twitch stream of people who just follow weather events.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, this is awesome. There was like, the guy takes pictures from people who were there, and some guy from Charlton sent a picture, and then of like the storm, and then sent a picture of his recording studio in his bedroom, and he was like, we're playing at the Raven tonight. And the guy was like, well, there you go. They're playing at the Raven. I hope you have a good show. It was funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I gotta remember the name of that. But yeah, it was, this was a literal full moon weekend, and it was spiritually an incredibly full moon weekend because of Breakout Festival, the electronic festival at the Palladium. Friday night, Katie won tickets to go to the Queer AF fashion show, and we got dinner at Armsby Abbey, and we were like, oh, we'll just walk over. And then we go to the Palladium, and the entirety of Main Street is blocked off by DPW trucks. There's a stage in front of the Palladium and a main stage behind the Palladium, and there are just thousands of people dressed in almost nothing, walking around downtown Worcester, getting to the gates. And then I come to find out this morning from the stream group chat that in the front part there is a mini McDonald's. There is a small hut that's a McDonald's hut, and it's like decorated like an old school McDonald's.
Wow.
So we could have gone to Breakout Festival and got McDonald's in there. Instead, after the fashion show, Katie and I went to Moyna's and watched the show from the inside of Moyna's, where the bass was still so loud it was like shaking the walls. And I had a really cool shirt on, and 3 townies were like lighting me up about this shirt. They were like, that's the coolest shirt ever. Some guy tried to trade me his black tall tee for my like short sleeve button up. And I was like, brother, no, that's a bad trade. We get outside, and there's just like an ad hoc like dance party on the other side of the fence, like the street, like I don't know what that street's called.
Exchange
Street. So Exchange Street was just like a free dance party because you could pretty much see the stage, and the music was way louder than you could ever need or want it to be. I couldn't imagine being up front, like in the back of the parking lot. It was like ungodly loud. Like I guess I've never been to an electronic dance music show because, as we established earlier, I'm kind of like an EDM poser. But that's louder than any rock show I've ever heard in my life. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was into EDM before they even called it EDM. I got really into electronic music pretty early on, back when it was just, techno. And MTV used to have a great overnight show. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was like early on, and they would run like the first videos that were coming out of that world. So like a lot of like Chemical Brothers, Aphex Twin, Atari Teenage Riot, early Prodigy. Anyway, I used to go to raves and was pretty into that music for a moment in time in like the late 90s into the early 2000s. And raves were pretty loud usually.
Yeah.
I'd never been to an outdoor one, though. This is when they were still kind of like warehouses, or like I used to go to the old Hippodrome in Springfield a fair bit.
Yeah.
I went to a bubble party there once. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life.
Katie has talked to me about a bubble party. You were probably at the same bubble party. She was going to Springfield warehouses to do drugs and stuff.
Yeah, that's, that was not an insignificant part of the reason why I was there, if I'm being honest.
I mean, that's like, you can't not. So, and apparently, I mean, you texted me about it, but that led to a lot of EMT responsibility at Breakout Fest this week.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
So one of the cool things that I can do, because I have an actual scanner, that you can't do with the feeds that are just up online, is I can lock into like different event channels. So like when there's big events going on in the city, EMS will have, if they've got a detail there, they'll have an event channel. So when Polar Park is happening, it's usually always event B, and this was on event C. So for a while, I just locked into event C, so I would just hear everything that was happening there.
Yeah.
And calls were coming in hot and heavy. Definitely a lot of people that seemed like they were having a bad time on whatever drugs they took, which can happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
But also, it sounded like maybe just some like heat exhaustion, dehydration, which can, as people who've ever taken ecstasy or MDMA know, your risk for that is exacerbated by taking those drugs. Your body is much easier to overheat and needs more water. But like they were having a hard time sometimes getting people out of the central area.
Yeah.
It was like so packed in there.
It was like, I couldn't even imagine how you would walk around in there. There's actually a really cool drone shot that this guy who's just, he's like a local photographer that does drone photography. He's just killing it lately.
Is he the guy who posts on Reddit all the time?
Yeah. I think his name is Josh Wingell. He had like a really cool picture of like blood sun. He had a really cool picture of the fog, when the fog and the sun, when the wildfires were coming down.
Yeah,
and then he got some sick pictures of lightning the other week, and now he has a really cool flyover of Breakout Festival. You know what I think accounts for a lot of that bad trip stuff is, my observation walking over there is that a lot of the crowd had first week of college energy.
Yeah.
So I think you had a lot of rookies. You had a lot of rookies.
That can be the problem.
Yeah.
That can definitely be the problem. You don't know what kind of trouble you can get in unless you listen to one of the old heads, or you bang your head against that brick wall at least once.
You pretty much
have to
just bang your head against the brick wall.
Yeah. Yep. I had to take too much ecstasy to know how much was too much, and then not do that anymore because it was not fun. Also, that's just not a drug you should like. You can do that drug for like, between when you're 18 and 22, and then you should really just stop forever. It puts holes in your brain and stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't like at a certain time it's just uncouth.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to be over the age of 30 and be visibly on Molly, it's like, yeah, it's just maybe not the best look.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I am as people have probably surmised, I am a pretty pro-drug person. I think drugs are fine, and that you can have experiences with them that you can't have without them. But you gotta be smart about it. You don't want to be a drooling idiot by the time you're 50 because you decided to take MDMA for 30 years. It's not a good trade.
Yeah. Just like grow up.
Yeah.
Do adult substances.
Yeah. Eat a handful of mushrooms every now and again. That won't hurt you.
Yeah. You just be right on that line in public. It's the best. Not that I've ever done that.
No. If you've ever seen me slightly weird, it wasn't for that reason. But I don't want to pass over just the pro tip that was slipped in here, which is if there's something you kind of want to see at the Palladium outside, but you don't want to pay the $90 or whatever for the ticket, or
like 160.
Holy shit.
For a day. Crazy.
And the other thing is, if this was run like other ones that I've seen there's no re-entry. So the thing will start at 1 o'clock on a day in a parking lot in July, in a heat sink, and it won't end until like midnight, and you're stuck in there, and they sell the shit out of it. Like, I've been in there, I've only been in there once.
And shit.
Yeah. I was in there once for a show in 2020. I saw Every Time I Die, and it was packed. It's a tough space to be in when it's that packed.
Yeah.
even for that amount of time. And that was only like 3 bands on that bill, I think. But anyway, you can just go hang out on Exchange Street and kind of see. And even better, Moina's usually like ropes off their little, I couldn't even call that a parking lot. It's like a driveway that's next to Moina's. But they usually rope that off and chuck a couple folding tables out there. And for the price of very cheap beers at Moina's, you can go and listen to a show.
Yeah.
Do that, but don't tell too many people because that'll fuck it up.
Yeah, definitely don't put that on like a podcast that's free and available to the public with a transcript or anything like that.
I would never do that. That would be stupid.
So yeah, between the Breakout Festival and the Biblical Storm, the extreme weather event.
Also, there was a fire at the Midtown Mall,
And then there was
like
an
actual fire
at the Midtown Mall. And thank God that some real journalists came in and confirmed that after I got the news out. But no, there was a fire in the Midtown Mall, and then. So Chris, you are probably more able to explain this than I am. There was a fire, and then they put it out, and then the fire crept back up?
Yeah. Let me think about how to explain this in a way that won't just bore the shit out of people, but we'll get to the heart of it. Worcester has an incident command structure and system that I really don't like, and a lot of the firefighters also really don't like. I'm not naming any names, but I've talked to a fair number of them. And so there were command problems kind of through the whole thing. So a call for a fire came in at the Midtown Mall. It came in right as this storm was like blowing up all over the city. So there's already tons of when a storm like that hits, the fire department gets really busy. All the departments do, but fire and police especially. Yeah. Because trees fall down, and they've got to go block roads. They've got to go see if there's live wires. Flooding starts to happen, so they got to block roads for that. They got to potentially go do water rescues. And power starts to go out, so fire alarms start to go off because the power grid is off. So they're really busy. And then this call comes in as an alarm, as a million others are coming in. Right. And then pretty quickly, they get a report that there's smoke in the building and that the sprinklers are going. So now this is starting to sound like maybe a real fire. So all the trucks come in. It takes a little while because so many of the when a fire, if a fire came in at this address right here where we are, there is a computer that will tell the dispatcher, these are all the fire companies that go to a fire at that address. Right. In this situation, a lot of those companies were already working, so they have to add what's called fill-in companies, and those are going to come from further away. Anyway, there was a fire in there. It was a bit of a clusterfuck for them figuring out where it was, and then they got some water on it through a standpipe system and the sprinklers, and then it seemed to me, and it's very easy for me to say this in retrospect, but I have the receipts talking to one of my fire friends. I was like, they squirted water for a few minutes and then they just boogied. They were gone. Probably because they were busy, but you can't do anyway. What this is, the fire investigation people came, and lo and behold, they found more fire still burning in the building. So the entire fire department had to come back. That's what's called a rekindle. But yeah, they had to all go twice because they didn't put it out the first time. And that's kind of a tough building to make that mistake in. That could have gone really badly. Yeah, I was thinking about that for a second when it was happening about there's a lot of small little spaces in there full of stuff, right? And it could have, from what I know, it wasn't no one got hurt or anything. Yeah, I'm not aware of any injuries or anything like that. I think the fire was in the roof of the part that's under the gym, mostly. Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I don't. It's thank God, nothing went wrong. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine being. That's like being. It gave me, listening to this scanner, it gave me working in a restaurant on Valentine's Day energy. Yeah. Where it's just everyone was just oh fuck, the thing is happening. Right? And that's kind of how I felt too. I was this is actually
This is a weather event that is scarier than any I can remember, right? Like, and we always talk like in terms of climate change about like the more severe and freak weather events are really like what's going to usher in any sort of climate apocalypse. And I gotta tell you what, that one felt pretty apocalyptic to me. And I don't know, just guess it's a new normal.
Yeah, I believe that this was the first tornado in Massachusetts. Well, I think we're going to find out that there were multiple tornadoes. My cousin in the Sheffield area, so the southern Berkshires, told me that they're pretty sure they had one touchdown there.
Yeah.
Which is extremely disappointing to me because it touched down there at a big town fair where the 4-H club that my cousin helps to run and that her two daughters participate in, they were doing a cow plop contest. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay.
No, but I can. Do you push them over?
No. It's they put them in a like fenced in or cordoned in area, and it's been gridded out into squares, and the squares are numbered. And you buy a number or multiple numbers, and at some point the cow takes a shit, and if it lands in your number, then you win the raffle.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yes. So I was in. I had 5 on it. Actually, I had 50 on it because I had 2 squares, one for me and one for Aaron.
You could play the human version of that in certain parts of downtown Worcester.
Absolutely, you could.
We should do that. Pick a. We'll host it at a Isla. She is always complaining about that, and rightfully so. But anyway, I didn't mean to. So
no, it's fine. Anyway, I was very excited to hopefully win the cow plop contest, but they had to cancel it because tornado approaching came through, and my cousin had to hide all the 4-H kids under a picnic table. She sent me a picture of this. It's very funny.
That is.
It's funny knowing all the kids didn't get swept away in a tornado.
Yeah. Right.
Funny in retrospect.
But imagine all that. Imagine like somebody's about to win the cow plop, and then a tornado comes through and just whisks the poop.
Pulls the poop
like
as it's about to fall.
Never touches the ground.
Yeah.
And it just gets sucked up. Oh man, that'd be really cursed. Oh, you know what? I've been meaning to tweet this, but I just cannot bring myself to do that anymore. But
to tweet. Yeah. I
am really.
I feel that.
I used to really enjoy it, and it's just so bad now. But anyway, what a missed opportunity we had to employ the Shock Doctrine in Annex Holden.
Oh.
Right? Like, we could have done a military takeover of Holden yesterday with ease. We would have sailed right in there. And we would have taken Holden back and our $27 million that we're going to appeal again back.
What district is this part of town to Holden? Is it 5?
What do you mean?
What council district?
Council district.
Oh no, what is it? 1 rather?
1, mostly 1, and maybe a little sliver of 5.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Keith, I want between now and the election, I want a contingency battle plan for a Shock Doctrine type event that the next time that tragedy befalls Holden and their defenses are down, that we take it over by force.
We swoop in, blitzkrieg. A blitzkrieg up West Boylston Street. Or not West Boylston Street. What's the one that goes into Holden? Airport Drive? I don't freaking
that one, and then the one that's over there that goes into Holden. I very, very, very rarely travel that way.
There should be toll roads.
Yeah.
Coming into Worcester, not out. But anyway. Hey, so Freak Weekend. Tuesday before the Freak Weekend, a very normal election.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about it. The transition I was going to do before, but we were talking about other stuff, was speaking of bashing your head against a wall. I have to talk a little bit about what no one forced me to do this, right? But I signed myself up to try to get and then analyze precinct level data of this election. And it was such a pain in the ass to just get that information onto a spreadsheet. Chris, I texted you the link, but I basically had to hack the mainframe. The city has tabulated, in the open data portal, which is unusable.
Oh my God, I tried to...
Even by the standards of the already unusable website, this is the most unusable part of that website. They have every single election going back to 2019, tabulated by precinct exactly the way that you would need it to do to put it all in one spreadsheet and do a real statistical analysis of it. But that's not linked. The results that are linked is an image-based PDF that you can't even copy the text off of. So the results that are useful and presented well in a modern fashion are absolutely buried in the data portal, and the ones that are more public facing are almost unreadable. And you gotta ask yourself, and it's a recurring question in Worcester, is it evil or incompetent?
Yes, this is the old malice or incompetence question.
Right.
And my answer in Worcester is always, why can't it be both? I think it can. I think it often is. So you sent me this link. This is an aside that I shouldn't even waste podcast time on, but at some point I got to hit you up for some of the old use of force data links and stuff, because I had a treasure trove of all of these kinds of links, and I actually lost them as a result of this podcast when we sat down to record that time, and I destroyed my computer. Because I destroyed my computer, I couldn't port my bookmarks over because I didn't have them saved, apparently, which was a bit of an error. But so I saved this link immediately, but I had to rename it to city data stuff, so I even knew what it was. Because Bill, what was the name? It was /folder or something.
It's literally it's folder : /
Folder : / is when you finally locate the center of the mainframe. That's what the city has called it.
It's literally
they really wanted you to find this.
It's just an HTML page of simple links of every database that the city has uploaded to open data portal. And you know what? Mark my words. They're going to change that fucking URL after we put this up. I swear to God. Just like how they changed the permissions on YouTube so that you can't download the video as easily. But don't worry, I will get past you. I will outwit you every time. You can do anything you want. I'm still going to get a copy of that video. So don't even try. Just don't even try. Just let me download it. Right?
You think we're locked in here with you, but you're locked in here with us.
You're locked in here with us, brother. Never forget that. But anyway, yeah. So I found this and I was like, wow, I gotta text a few people about this link because this is extremely useful, and it took me so long to find. And then Chris, you're looking at me, so you can see this notebook here.
Yes.
There's no one ever thought in the city hall that maybe precinct information should come with the corresponding U.S. Census tract that the precinct is loosely based on, but then gerrymandered a little bit, which is a really funny system we have in America here. It's like census tracts and precincts are the same size, basically, but the precincts are under the auspices of a municipality to play with the lines, and they're always just a little bit different than the census tract, which I found interesting. But what you're looking at here is I had to manually go through and write, I went clockwise around the city and wrote what precincts corresponded to what census tracts.
Now, I can see this. You all cannot, and it has now been explained to me what it is. Excuse me. If I didn't know what this was, and I just had to guess, I would say this is the extremely complex coded logging system for a drug operation. I'd be like, oh, this is 722 grams of whatever 9-5 is, whatever drug that's coded to be, or whatever customer it's coded to be.
Yeah, well, you see, I had 7311, and then 71 and 91 called me, and then I was left with 7310.
That's what this looks like when they like find the drug dealer's like coded book.
Right. Yeah, no, it's just it's just I'm dealing the drug of useful information.
Yeah, that makes sense because it looks like a prison kite.
And that's what they've reduced me to. I'm using prison kite tools. But no, so I am 99% done with this thing, and the results are amazing. Proving analytically, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the reality that we all just know, but the voter turnout number neatly corresponds with both the rate of homeownership and the median household income of a given precinct. The number one across every metric, so voter turnout, home ownership rate, so like percentage of people in that who live in that precinct who own the home they live in, owner occupied home ownership, and income. It's all three across the board. I think it's 9-4. You'll read about it, or you'll have already read about it in the latest Worcester Sucks Dispatch. But so basically what we're looking at here, and what the results on Tuesday confirm, is that City Council is a homeowners association, right? Like in form and function, it's only homeowners from certain neighborhoods voting. And so what you end up with is a city council that functions practically as a citywide homeowners association. And I think that explains a lot of the failures to do anything useful or good with their time, So...
Yeah, it's sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead. I was done.
It's so interesting to me. So I vote in 4-3, which is a traditionally very low turnout precinct. It's the immediate downtown area, basically. Mm-hmm. And so I went over to the library to vote. It's Tuesday, so I hadn't voted early. And we had a baseball game that night. So I was like, awesome, this will be a great little living downtown experience.
Right.
I'm going to go to the library right across the street from where I live and vote, and then I'll just walk right across another street, go to the ballpark. I was voter number 36 just before 6 p.m. in an election that started at 7 and was 7 in the morning and was ending at 8 at night.
36.
Yeah, Aaron
Damn.
was 37 behind me. And I won't get in a big tangent about this, but I want to get in a little tangent about this because these are the areas where to the extent that any housing is being built, it's in that immediate area, right? Like that's mm-hmm. where the units are coming online. And yet the voting numbers are dismal. And I have seen people try to talk about this in a way of like, well, it's like that basically that it's like a rich and poor problem. And it's not like there aren't barriers for poor people to vote that don't exist for people with more money. There absolutely are. But there's also this entire population that is pretty transient that come and live in these buildings. I've been in my building now for 4.5 years, and I'm probably 95th or up percentile in terms of seniority of people living there.
People live there for a year or two.
Yeah. And they're often not from here. They're not planning on staying here. They're going to med school, or they're going to Mass College of Pharmacy, they're doing they took some job that they're here for a year or two or whatever. And that is like an impossible base. It's a very difficult base to organize. And I know because we've been trying in my building to some degree to do that. And it kind of occurred to me that it's basically it's the high class version of prison gerrymandering. Like, I'm sure Candy loves this outcome. That there's a bunch of completely disengaged non-voters adding population, or voters that vote in federal elections but don't know or care anything about city politics because they're just, because of all the obvious reasons not to, but also just because, like, they don't plan to stay here.
Right.
And that's a great population to just have stuffed into your district. It's very convenient for an incumbent. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, and it's very convenient for an incumbent who doesn't, like, I don't know how to put this. Caters to a very small and select group of people.
Yes.
In a certain orbit that swirls around the fire industries and the Chamber of Commerce. Fire being finance, insurance, real estate. There's just, go to worcesterelection.com and see who donates to Candy Merrill Crossan and people like her. And it's just it's a small, tight-knit developer community. So you have those people have a vested interest in extracting value from the urban core where nobody votes on purpose and nobody gives anybody a reason to vote because that's electoral suicide to try to even go after that.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the proverbial tracks, you have a voting base that doesn't, for the most part, know or care, right? As long as their house appreciates in its equity value.
Yeah, and as long as the containment zone is maintained, and this is a thing I see people have some confusion about, is like, why is the entire unhoused population of the city almost the people who are the most literally living on the streets all downtown in between these new, quote, luxury apartment buildings? This is why. Those people don't fucking call and complain. I guess there was just an article this past week that Charles Steinberg
He's a prick in that article.
Yeah.
We're ready to roll up our sleeves and help the city. I was about to say something really out of pocket.
Yeah. No, but I mean, yeah, we're building the chambers. We'll help. It's a public-private partnership. He didn't say that.
The meat's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. We'll definitely be able to do dollar burgers next year.
Oh, shit. That's a good horror movie.
Yeah. But yeah, the people in the buildings, like the one I live in, don't vote, by and large. Polar Park doesn't vote. 9,000 people show up there on a busy game. Almost none of them are from District 2. A fair number of them aren't even from the city. So why wouldn't they stuff all of this problem there? Until someone makes them stop. You send that out to the homeowner area, and they're going to have, their phone's going to be ringing off the hook.
311's going to be blowing up.
Yeah. We are, just left to sort of deal with the aftermath of it because it's not... It is a voter-dense area, but not a constituent, not a municipal voter-dense area, and definitely not like an active constituent-dense area.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, as I was going through trying to teach myself GIS, I would love to go back to school for GIS mapping. There's so much reporting you can do with that stuff, and I found...
Clark's a great place to do it.
A Clark professor put a redlining map up on, like, I guess GIS has like an open portal. So if you just like search Worcester in the overall GIS database, like a bunch of like open, free databases come up, and the redlining map looks a lot like the sub 5% turnout map, right? Whereas the 20%ers contributing to the overall 10% turnout are all on the other side of the redlining map, which the borders have not shifted very much over the past century. That's the containment zone we're talking about. Just the redlining map. I'll have to include that in my analysis. But it's like, I mean, like once you start to think about how the geography of it is rigged, like I feel like it's really like revealing of like what the purpose of it is, and like how these entrenched candidates really see it. And it might lead you to some depressing conclusions, but also there's what I'm trying to formulate in my head is there's like, we desperately need to rethink the election, like the election universe. The voter universe is a term that I hear Mamdani's people talk about. The voter universe of the city of New York. Like what they did was they started from scratch, and they weren't following like the Democratic Party's template for the voter universe. They went about it in a different way, and I think that we need to be sort of consciously doing that in a way that we're not. I would say overall, but obviously, Mamdani's operation is a lot more sophisticated than we can expect any Worcester candidates to be. But I think that a useful question in the realm of local journalism of our kind, that's like specifically movement oriented, is like, how do we carve out a new voter universe?
Yeah, and it's not an impossible situation to organize your way out of, and there's examples of it happening. Mamdani is just a very recent one, but there are definitely a number of them. But the thing is, it's not a it's not a short-term project. You can start it and exactly. You can chip away, but you cannot build that type of organizing in an election cycle that happens every other year, but that most people don't even pay attention to, if they do at all, until right about now, really.
And the big headwinds that we're up against is people don't vote. Like, you got to really think about the reasons why people don't vote sympathetically, and you can't just dismiss it as like, oh, they're uninformed, right? I love that fucking liberal ass term. They're just uninformed, they're low information, whatever. It's like, people don't vote because why would you, right? When have you ever seen City Hall even try to do something to make your life better? The people who do vote understand their city councilors to do to serve their interests with every move they make, right? Like, the people who vote are the people who are given a reason to vote. Yeah,
they know what they're getting. If I'm, an average person in a lot of the low turnout areas of the city, and I guess, in some ways I am an average person in one of those areas, although I'm certainly at a higher income level.
You're not average to me, though.
No, I know. I hope I'm not average to you.
No, you're very special. You're my special little boy.
Thank you very much, Bill. You're my special little boy.
Aww.
Yeah. But, you have to give people a reason to care. It's a completely logical conclusion to just be like, this isn't for me. Every message that I get from these people is that this is not for me. This is for a different group of people that live in a different part of the city.
Right.
I am not supposed to be a participant in this. I'm not wanted to be a participant in this. And so why would I take the time out of my day? And maybe I did once or twice, and then, nothing happened. Nothing changed.
Yeah. So the obvious thing that we just saw borne out in Mamdani and Mamdani's approach is renters.
Yeah.
Housing, renters. Housing. Caden Davis and Gemma Kamara both performed slightly better than Moneybags Mitra. Caden was a few votes behind Moneybags Mitra. Neither of them had a tenth of the war chest that he did. But both have been running on housing. And Caden especially has been just like really, really articulating a full vision of the housing problems in the city and the need for more aggressive solutions.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers again now, which thankfully you put on the Substack because it's by far the easiest way to find them. So thank you for that. And we should not, I will say from my perspective, we should not draw very many conclusions from these numbers at all, but they're the data that we have. As of the preliminary, Gemma is in 6th place. She would knock Donna Colorio off of City Council.
She would.
And Caden is not far behind. Caden would need to pick up about 12 to 1,400, maybe 1,500 votes to be in that range. Which, like, is totally possible to do. But again, this is a very weird subset of data.
You know what makes it very weird? And this is another frustration I have, is that this data set accounts for early voting versus election day voting. And I was driving myself crazy, like, did I have a false memory that we offered early voting in other municipal elections? Because that data is not on 2023 or 2021. But, like, I think we had early voting.
We had it in 2023. That was the first time we had it.
Okay. Yeah. So
for municipal, it was the first time we had it for municipal.
Right.
Election.
So the data breakout of early voting isn't really on there, but for this year, the early voting, there's a very clear story in the early voting data that the cranks voted early.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The cranks voted early, and early voting accounted for a pretty large portion of the overall like electorate of this election, which is like half of what we can probably expect on election day. And all of the crank candidates skewed to doing better in early voting than they did overall. So, and all of the progressive candidates, all the progressive candidates did better on election day than they did in early voting.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me, mostly because, like...
That's encouraging to me.
Yeah, I can see a way in which it's encouraging. What makes it interesting to me is we don't have enough data on what early voting is going to do. We haven't had early voting long enough, really, for, like, set patterns to emerge in municipal elections. But the first time we had it was 2023, and we regressed on school committee, but that was for completely separate reasons that we've talked about with the districting. But we made progress on council. Mm-hmm. And I posited a theory, probably to you at some point, that I thought early voting might actually really change the makeup of the people that vote in Worcester. And this data that we're seeing now would be one data point that would say that I was wrong in that analysis. Time will tell.
I wasn't trying so much to make a sweeping, like, sort of like early voting in general is a crank is a crank project. I think that the cranks were the people who, like, knew and were fired up to go early vote this year. And what that had the effect of doing is, like, I think that the preliminary results sort of, like, show the ceiling for the crank candidates, right? Because, like, Moe Bergman and Donna Colorio both got, like, pretty close to the amount of votes that they got in general in the last general election. And I think that, like, their people came out, is what I'm trying to say. Their people came out, and a lot of people that otherwise, just didn't know to vote or didn't know why they should show up to vote, what the fuck's a preliminary, you know, those people didn't come out. So in that way, I find it encouraging that the election day results were better for progressive candidates, because the crank base whipped up into a frenzy. They all came out to protest communism or whatever, but not a lot of enthusiasm on the other side of the fence. And it's like, why there really is no reason to be enthusiastic about this, because we're only getting rid of 2 people, and oh my god, does it kick ass that one of those is Charles Lester.
Yes.
Buh-bye.
Buh-bye.
Teamwork does not make the dream work.
No, it does not. I can't pretend that this is a spontaneous poll, because I told Bill about it 5 days ago, but it came to mind after the last episode where we listened to Charles Lester's very unique answer on pronouns at a LGBTQ candidate forum. I think we've now determined Charles Lester's pronouns, and they are has/been. So there you go. I had that one in the chamber for the better part of a week now. I think you're right, Bill, and I think the biggest indication that you're right is
has/been. Every time I write about Charles Lester, I'm going to put parentheses has/been.
Pronouns has/been.
Dude, that's kind of a baller move, actually. Just putting like homophobic people's pronouns.
like here, we picked them for you.
Like Candy Merrill Carlson,
Candy Merrill Carlson, big/it.
Candy Merrill Carlson, she, they.
I think the point in the data that strongly supports your thesis on this is Gary Rosen's performance, actually. Gary Rosen,
Tom Bombadil of Worcester, dude.
Tom Bombadil of Worcester. I genuinely have a fondness for the guy, and not for any political reasons. But Gary Rosen has been on council before, off, back on, I think, and he's running again for reasons unknown to me this year. And Gary's campaign is like 12 donors, I think, that include himself, and then him just by himself standing with a sign at some intersection. And this is what he's been doing for years.
Dude, he just has love for the game.
He really does. Like, there were times, and I bet you now would even be a time, like, obviously he has a constituency. He got 4,646 votes
with no
on
campaign infrastructure,
spitting bubblegum.
Yeah. And you know what? I have a video. I gotta find it. I have a video on my phone where I was like, Gary, a word for the camera, and he was funny, off the cuff funny. It was a couple of months ago, but he was out at that place he always stands.
Yeah,
and you know, just a genuinely affable individual. Brendan on the stream was putting it well, that like he actually might have a calming presence. He might make the cranks more reasonable, right?
It's possible. He has never been anything close to a progressive, but he's also not exactly a crank in the archetype of the typical Worcester crank. Well, we'd see what he'd be this time around, and we may, based on this showing. But anyway, like, I think a guy who just didn't run a campaign, but is known traditionally as being one of the more known to older voters. People know who Gary Rosen is, especially people who've been voting for a long time in the city. They see that name and they're vaguely like, oh yeah, I remember that guy, I like him. They don't know or care whether he campaigned. They just have some sense of what they're going to get.
They remember the one time that he was like, he made them feel comfortable when he was around them.
Yeah, or they remember the time, like I remember, and I have several of these times. They remember the time that they were at, some event at Elm Park, and Gary came up in his Gary Rosen shirt and his Gary Rosen sign and handed them a comb that said Gary Rosen for City Council on it.
Dude, I want one of those combs.
I have one somewhere. Shit, dude, I've got it buried somewhere.
He came to the video store.
Yeah.
He just to talk.
Yeah.
I was like, what? All right. That's cool.
He's an extremely retired dude.
Yes, and that is he is like the ideal model for one of my my favorite ways to analyze, or the lens with which to look at the Worcester City Council, is that he's very much of like the reality show archetype, where he seems to be always like doing it so that there's something to talk about, right? I once described him as a messy bitch that loves drama, because like he was on that cable access show, and he asked the question of Candy Merrill Carlson, "What do you think about Joe not reappointing you to economic development?" That made her freak out.
Yes, that was on Rosen's Roundtable.
It was on Rosen's Roundtable. He asked the question.
Yeah,
and you know he lended his townie credibility to fare-free busing, and he's lended his townie credibility to safe injection sites. And I think he's done both of those things just because he likes to stir the pot and likes to be a little bit of a contrarian in his community. But that's an asset. That's a valuable asset to have. If you can convince Gary Rosen of the entertainment value of a proposal, he will nominally ride with it, right? Even if he like wouldn't support it in the final analysis. I could conceive of myself being like, Gary Rosen, you know what would really cause a stir? You know what would really get people talking? If you introduced an idea to do a municipally bonded public housing project, the size of Polar Park.
Yeah, he's not a guy who I think has a lot of ideological oppositions to things of that nature. Gary Rosen was one of the bigger and more consistent supporters of Fair Free on the RTA.
Yeah.
He went to bat for that for years and still does. That is not something you're ever going to see a Moe Bergman or Donna Calorio, certainly, type person ever do.
Yeah.
But Gary's a little different than that.
You know what he doesn't do? The one thing that he doesn't do that's like a crank calling card otherwise is like he's not reflexively hostile to a new idea based on where it's coming from.
Yes.
On the in the social scene,
Yeah.
right? Like your Kenny Merrill Carlson, Kate Toomey, they all are just going to be reflexively hostile to anything that like Pride Worcester or any of the progressive organizations put forward, you know, and they're going to base their entire framework around that sort of negative polarization.
Yeah. Gary's going to hear you out.
Gary's going to hear you out.
And I want to say this before we go any further. I am not voting for Gary Rosen. I didn't vote for him this time. I'm not voting for him in the general. You shouldn't vote for him either. The only thing he can do is, knock off Donna Calorio, I guess, which would be hilarious. Or more likely knock off one of the candidates we actually want, like a Caden.
Yes.
You should not vote for him. But Gary will hear you out. So one of my most my interpersonal experiences with Gary Rosen is I worked on the lawsuit that was brought against the city and eventually won against the city on the panhandling ordinances. Mm-hmm. Gary was a supporter of the panhandling ordinances, and
of course, because he's not a progressive.
And he thought it was a better idea than what we had. And I used to go talk to Gary. I would go document Gary being out, because the same panhandling ordinance that would have potentially stopped panhandling also would have prevented candidates from being able to stand in those same areas. It was a pedestrian safety ordinance. So I was like, Gary, by the ordinance you support, what you're doing is illegal, or would be illegal. Like, how do you square that circle? And like, he would try to talk it through with me. He wasn't like, fuck you, you know. Like, I had a lot of conversations on the side of the road with Gary Rosen about stuff like this. Damn. And he'll talk to you.
Yeah. That's so funny. I mean, like, he's no like a policy wonk or intellectual whiz kid, but I think he does genuinely like the process of coming to a better understanding of something.
Yeah.
And it's not like he prevents himself from learning.
No, and I think he just likes being in the political mix, and it's why he has a show on public access and has for a really long time. And
He's a locker room guy, dude. He's just happy to be there.
I was just trying to, I was over here Googling, just trying to remember the name. He reminds me a lot of this guy who used to be, some people will know who this is, but Gary Vecchio. Gary Vecchio used to be a very prominent...
Rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. Gary. Another guy who I agreed with almost not at all politically, but that I genuinely liked. He was the poll warden for many years at my polling place when I lived on the east side. And he was kind of my neighbor. He didn't live like right down the street, but Gary Vecchio was also like a public employee retiree who got to retire, pretty early, at 55 or 60 or something, like Gary. And Gary Vecchio would just walk all day. That's what Gary Vecchio did. He just walked around the neighborhood.
He'd walk around, he'd find something.
Yeah, I'd see Gary almost every day,
relentlessly raising a stink about his grievances.
Yep.
that he would encounter on his walks.
And the reason that Shrewsbury Street didn't really develop into the nightlife district, it was first and foremost Gary Vecchio and the neighborhood association that he was a part of, and I think for a while headed. But also just a genuine, never had a mean word to say to me, would always talk to me, respected what I was doing with like voter stuff. I respected what he was doing. But one of those guys I was like, he unfortunately wound up getting cancer, and passed away pretty young. But I was like, this is one of those guys. He's like a shark. If he ever stops swimming, he's going to die. And I think Gary's like that. Rosen. Yeah. The other Gary.
Right. He's just like, it's like a hobby for him.
Yeah.
Which is fine. This is all well and good. But we need this to not be a hobby job if we're not going to get priced out of the city.
Yeah.
But on the Gary Vecchio front, I got a funny story to share. And then that's probably where we should leave it for today, maybe? Actually, wait. I don't know. We'll see. But
I have one more quick little item for the end. We can talk about this a little more or not.
Okay.
We'll have plenty of other time to talk about it if we don't want to do it now.
I'll be quick about this one, but it's back probably about 2018. Gary Vecchio calls up my then editor, Walter Bird. And he says to Walter, there's birds inside the hospital, and they're shitting on tables in the food court. And Walter Bird, enterprising journalist that he is, gets right on the case.
Oh, yeah.
He goes down to the food court, and he sits there for the rest of the day, waiting to catch a bird pooping on a table. And, I bet he had a couple slices of pizza. Maybe you went to the Donkeys a time or two.
Got to go to the Donkeys.
You got listen. Every time I go to St. Vincent's, I'm getting a slice of cheese, and I'm probably getting a little coffee treat, right? Because, that's the joys and benefits of our for-profit healthcare system, is that you can do that inside of a hospital.
Yeah.
Food court at St. Vincent.
Not bad.
Josh Lyford told me that pre-Renaissance. Whenever there were bands that would come through on tour that had vegan members, the hot tip that he would give them, and that was a kind of a known thing, was that the best vegan food in the city is actually at the St. V's food court, because it is a salad bar that you can customize and trick out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hospital salad bars are some of the best salad bars I've ever been to. The most likely place I'm going to eat my entire meal at a salad bar is at a hospital. Also, it's a good place to remember your mortality, which helps, but genuinely good salad bars, including St. V.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very all of those people's energy. I think the other number thing we should talk about in here is Satya Mitra and Caden and the little clump that they're in. So Caden running a brand new, genuinely grassroots campaign. Came in, let's see.
I think it's ninth.
Came in ninth with 3,200 votes. 3,200 votes on the dot. Just ahead of him, beating him by only 206 votes, is the far and away fundraiser. The guy who's got who's raised like $100,000 just barely squeaking in there, and that is the lawn signs don't vote, engaged voters do example that I think should be the energy that we focus in on between now and November.
These idiots are so in the triangle. I'm triangulating it right now between Caden's campaign, Gary Rosen, just the enigma, and Satya Mitra. We have three avatars for three approaches to municipal politics, right? And we are seeing Satya Mitra. That is just the worst approach to try to buy a seat by courting like the developer community. It's just not a viable path to coming on as a newcomer and winning an election. Like his cost per vote ratio is going to be out of control in November, dude.
Yeah, no, truly. I mean, you can court developers, but you can't just court developers because they don't live here.
And he freaking said it. We read the quote last show, I think, but
yeah.
On that note, I was gonna do a little bit on this in my newsletter post that's coming up today, but there's a Reddit thread where someone on the Worcester Reddit is like, I want to vote for Satya Mitra, but I cannot find a reason. Can anyone vouch for him? And it's all no. It's all just no. Like, for a variety of reasons, but there's like one person in this thread of like 25 responses that's like, yeah, I like him. And it was like somebody whose mom works for the campaign.
Yeah.
So, he's just got no riz, and money can't buy riz.
Money can't buy riz. Money cannot buy riz. Actually, there's one other quick thing. And that is this weird poll, or quote-unquote poll, that we both got just after the preliminary, that I think is just worth mentioning, actually, as maybe a call for information or thoughts from our listeners. So it was like Wednesday or Thursday, I think. I got this text from a random number, which I almost immediately, reflexively just hit, delete and report junk. But then I looked at it, and it was like, could you take a quick, 2 to 3 minute poll on the Worcester election? And I clicked on the link because it was it looked like a survey and not a phishing link. And I'm always interested to see if someone's doing push polling. Do you know about push polling?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for people listening, if you don't know, very quickly, a push poll is something that is designed to look like a poll that's seeking information, but what it's actually designed to do is to color your opinion, usually in a negative way, of a candidate.
Yes.
Like it'll be like, oh, how likely would you be to vote for these people? And then it'll be like, how likely would you be to vote for this person if you found out they were a filthy socialist?
Right. Right.
And like that's what a push poll is. So I was like, I want to see if it's a push poll, and it doesn't look like it was.
It's like an opposite of a push poll.
Yeah,
it's a poll.
It was a poll, a very, very short one. It had literally 2 questions. And the first question was, what is your voting preference in a 3-way race for mayor between Joseph Petty, Christian King, and Morris Bergman? To which I said to Bill, that's an interesting question because we don't have a 3-way race between Joseph Petty, Christian King, and Morris Bergman. But a certain Morris Bergman just did, you could say, maybe somewhat surprisingly well in this preliminary that just happened.
Where all the cranks voted and no one else did.
Yes. So I wonder who's getting at something and what they're getting at here. And I genuinely don't know the answer.
So yes, I got the same text, and I was about to delete it until you texted me about it, and then I took the poll as well. And there's no information on this at all that gives you any indication of who is asking.
Yes.
Right. It's like totally anonymous.
Yeah. Came from a random number, not given by any organization or any listed entity at all. The only other question besides the one we just read was, would you hold a positive, negative, or neutral opinion of a candidate at large who challenges your preferred candidate for mayor? And the options are positive, negative, or neutral. It asks you those two questions, and then it asks you for your phone number. And that's the point at which I bailed out. I was okay, I know what the questions are. I'm not giving you my fucking phone number.
I went boop, boop,
yeah.
boop, 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 boop. My phone number was 696 969 6969. Yeah. So the second question tickles my funny bone in a major way. Like, accepting, as I do, that it's a fact that this is a Moe Bergman poll about Moe Bergman. Because the first question is very much like, who would you vote for, just curious, just wondering, who would you vote for in mayor in a three-way race between these two people who have announced and this other guy that's included on the list apropos of nothing by me, right? Like, it's obviously Moe Bergman's survey. And then the second question, if you accept that he wrote that, is, would you be mad at me? Would you have a negative opinion of a counselor that challenged your preferred candidate? Is literally just asking, like, would it make you mad? Would you hate me?
Yes.
Would you hate me more than you already do? Right? It's like, it's such a funny question.
And it's theoretically asking that question for either the two candidates that we know are running or for all three of these candidates, but it's not really asking that question for Christian King.
Right.
It's asking that question for Joe Petty voters.
Yes.
Joe Petty voters, would you be mad at me if
you be mad at me if I tried to run for mayor? Well, and Mo, if you're listening to this, and I can pretty much guarantee you are, run for mayor.
Please.
Run for mayor. Him running for mayor, and now I'm using my heater material that I was the funniest part of my newsletter, and I'm just fucking spilling the beans on the podcast now, whatever. Moe Bergman running for mayor allows us, that three-way race allows us to align the electorate over the D&D lawful, chaotic, good, evil spectrum.
Yeah.
You know?
It absolutely does.
It's like Moe Bergman being lawful, evil, Joe Petty being neutral, and Christian King being chaotic, good. And then you can chart the entire electorate. Like you could do a bell curve of our electorate, how they range from lawful, evil to chaotic, good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is strongly my opinion that it would be a very, very good thing for Christian King's campaign. And Mo,
yeah, it'd be great.
We know you're listening. We know how much you love to be right, and you love to prove me and Bill and people like us specifically wrong. So you should do it.
You should do it.
Do it.
Yeah, I think
I double dog dare you.
No, wait. No, wait. No, Mo, I would hate it so much if you ran for mayor. It would get me so mad. I'd be so mad. I'd be over here. I'd be like, Moe Bergman.
Yeah,
he's running for mayor.
He'd be
I'm so
Arthur
mad.
Clench Fist. He wouldn't be able to write the newsletter because his fists wouldn't unclench.
I'd be so mad.
He'd be like typing in boxing gloves.
You know who else would be so mad if you ran for mayor? Everyone in the city with blue hair.
Yeah.
They would be so mad at you if you ran for mayor. So I don't want you to do it at all.
Don't
run,
do it.
Mo. Don't run.
Or you should.
Or think about it, because it, But definitely don't, because I would be so mad. And, you would really get my ass riled up. I'd be so mad if you ran for mayor. So don't do it. But maybe
do.
All right, I think that's a good place to leave it for today.
I got one quick thing. It'll take 2 minutes. This is the dessert for eating your vegetables today. Listening to a breakdown of a preliminary that very few people voted in. I got a goose update of sorts.
Yes.
There was an article in one of the papers this week, I think it was Mass Live, that the Goose is still locked up in the pen. He's still at the wildlife sanctuary. It looks like he's not going to make it home. That's the bad news. But the Wildlife Sanctuary has announced that they are raising funds and are well on their way to completing a fundraiser to offer a 24/7 live stream of Goose in his new habitat.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I know sometimes it feels like we don't have a whole lot to look forward to, but we've got something to look forward to. And I realized the other day, I tried to go to Fish Doorbell, and I found out, to my chagrin, Fish Doorbell is seasonal.
Seasonal, yeah.
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 So I think when you set that iPad up, that permanent iPad, you got Fish Doorbell during Fish Doorbell season, Goose live stream the rest of the year.
That is, oh my God.
I want to see what he's doing. I want to see how he's doing.
I feel like I felt like an immediate call to action. Like, I have to get involved in this, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to show them how to do an RTMP server and be like, really, you don't need that much money. I'll take care of it. I'll do it. I'll set it up. Oh, man, we need that.
Yeah, we really do. In a perfect world, we wait till the spring, or we wait till it's goose weather again outside. We put a fucking GoPro on him, and we live stream that, and just see where he goes. But, if we can't have that, at least we can have this.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I didn't tell you, but it opens up a world of opportunities for us and our listeners to think very hard about how we might apply this in a city. I bought a trail cam.
Ooh.
And I bought it for the back stairwell because we have a rascally raccoon, and I want to see how he gets up and gets into our trash because we're on the 3rd floor. And he just loves cat shit. He will sniff out that cat shit.
Can't get enough of it.
So I bought the trail cam for the raccoon, but like once I get one raccoon video, I'm kind of like, that's enough for me. So where else can we put this trail cam in the city of Worcester? That is my call to you, dear listener. Think about where would be a funny place to stick a trail cam, and I will stick it there. And we'll have updates on the kind of footage we get.
I love this idea.
Yeah. I think people will come up with good ideas for that. Also, Chris, I think that we should try at least once and to record, and it might be a little bit too loud, so maybe not, but the recording underneath the Burncoat Nazi eagle statue.
Oh my God.
Would be very fun.
Yes.
It would be really, there's just one bench down there. It's right next to West Boylston Street, so it's probably not a good idea, but I mean, we should do something with the Nazi statue.
We should at least do like a an intro or outro, like a quick field report
to raise awareness.
Yes.
Dude, that actually would be a pretty good reel for the Worcester Sucks Instagram. If I was like, come on down to the Greendale neighborhood of Worcester. We got this factory that's going to shit, and we have a statue made by a prominent Nazi sympathizer that looks very Nazi coded, like it's a Medal of Honor game. Yeah.
Real. Fuck, what's that show? Man in the High Tower.
Yes, Man in the High Tower.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Some would say that there already is a Man in the High Tower.
Yeah. Some would say it's already there, and we've got this statue here, and who knows what they'll plunk next to it when this fucking derelict factory property finally dies.
Yeah. Get a Volkswagen.
Yes.
The people's car.
People's car.
Yeah. All right. We gotta get out of here. But thank you everyone for listening, and we will be back again next week with more fun stuff. Oh, and shouts out to Charlotte, a listener who came up to me and Katie to say how much she liked the podcast at the fashion show. That was nice. It's nice to hear from listeners like that. I appreciate it a lot. And shouts out to Josh Croak for wearing the most gorgeous dress I've ever seen.
I heard, and I know we're trying to wrap here, but this is more and more people are saying that when Josh walked out in that gown,
it was like
on that stage, there was a collective gasp in the room.
Yeah, it was a look. It was an all-time look. I don't think I've ever seen anybody rock a moment harder. So, Josh, if you're listening, Great job.
Keep slaying.
Keep slaying. And we will too, don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, talk to everyone next week.
Later.
Glue for the bus jump. Jelly belly sent a hater running out the bathroom like, yo, that's nuts, that's what's up. Beans, cool beans. We could believe extremely cool dreams. We could agree to seek some new means to reach a true peace where we improve things. And we don't need no 9-9. School to the prison don't need no pipeline. Healthy communities redefine crime. Let's move with the rhythm and reach that high vibe. Let's ride. Someday there'll be no way that they can take what we're missing. One way or another. And we are not gonna run away, but we won't make the great escape from our mission. Take care of each other. I know we can hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Till they let it go, they're gonna let it go. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Make cops into more cops. How many cops? All cops. Take cops off the front page. Take away the guns. Make cops stop the gunplay. Tear down precincts. Put up playgrounds.